Good morning, colleagues, and welcome to this meeting of West Lothian Council. I'm Councillor Cathy Muldoon, Provost and Chair of today's meeting. The meeting is being broadcast live over the internet on the Council's YouTube channel. A recording of the meeting will be available through the Council's website afterwards. I am being assisted today by Graham Hope, the Council's Chief Executive, and by Leslie Montague, the Governance Manager. Also being helped this morning by officers from both committee and IT services. This meeting is taking place under hybrid arrangements. This means that elected members and council officers can take part either by being here in the council chamber or by an internet connection from somewhere else. When members wish to speak, they click a button that sends an alert to me and the officers helping me run this meeting. These requests go into a queue and microphones are activated in turn to let them be heard. When members are authorised to speak, their faces will appear on screen. There is more information, including a privacy statement about meeting arrangements, on the Council's website. There may be some time lags of a few seconds as the microphones and cameras respond to signals from members. Members should please remember that everything they say while their microphones are live will be broadcast and recorded. An agenda has been published showing the business for today's meeting. I will introduce each item of business and officers will speak briefly about the report before councillors ask questions, have a discussion and make any decisions that are required. Motions and amendments lodged by members will be dealt with in accordance with Council standing orders. The meeting might be paused or adjourned briefly to allow motions and amendments to be circulated and read by members. Councillors might leave the meeting where they have declared interests that prevent them from taking part. There will be a pause if this happens. Colleagues, I do intend to adjourn the meeting briefly every 2 hours or so at suitable points for comfort breaks or for a meal break, and I will announce when this is going to happen. As always, colleagues, members are asked to be polite, respectful and patient. I remind members that there are rules in our standing orders about conduct within the chamber. Members must respect and behave courteously towards everyone taking part in the meeting. Members must respect my authority as chair of the meeting, and when I am speaking, everyone else must stop. When a member is speaking, no one should be talking or doing anything that is disruptive to the member speaking. Members must stay in their seats unless they wish to stand when invited to speak or when leaving or entering the chamber, and should not stand in any of the passageways or other parts of the chambers. Colleagues, as we are all aware, we have changes to the standing orders for the regulation of meetings which came into effect on 1st of January 2026 and will now be applied. The Governance Manager has delivered training to elected members on these changes. Colleagues, before I move on to the agenda, I have to advise that Kathleen DL, OBE, sadly passed away on the 27th of December after a short illness. Kathleen was a Deputy Lieutenant for West Lothian from 2001 to November 2012. Kathleen was honoured by the late Queen Elizabeth II with an OBE for her services to the environment, for her role as Chair of the Royal Commission on Ancient and Historic Monuments in Scotland. Kathleen and her family kindly opened Tamdale's House Linlithgow Partnership Centre in January 2018. Kathleen also opened a new building of Holy Family Primary School in Winchborough in August 2022. Colleagues, if you're able, could you please stand and observe in a minute's silence with me to mark the sad passing of Kathleen DL. Thank you. Colleagues, that takes us to the first substantive item on the agenda. Do we have apologies for absence?
Provost, I'm not in receipt of any apologies this morning. All members are present and we have 3 of those connected remotely to the meeting. They are Councillors Andrew Miller, Tony Pearson and Robert de Bold. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm just going to check the connection for Councillors Miller, Pearson and de Bold. Good morning, Councillor Miller. Can you hear me? Okay, I've got Councillor de Bold and Councillor Miller on screen. Good morning, colleagues. I take it you can both hear me.
Yeah, sorry, I jumped the gun there a bit.
Okay, and Councillor Miller, can you hear me? I know you can see me.
Yes, I can hear you, Provost.
Thank you. Good morning, Councillor Pearson.
Morning, Provost.
Thank you. Colleagues, as always, if you are experiencing any IT or technical issues, can you please contact a member of your group to make them aware, and they can advise myself. Thank you. That takes us to item 2. Do we have any declarations of interest? Councillor Maguire, followed by Councillor McMillan.
Yeah, thanks very much, Provost. My first connection is with item 12, just in case it comes up in debate. Since October 2024, I've been a host for the Homes for Ukraine scheme run by the UK government. And again, just in case it comes up during the debate, for items 15, 16 and 17, I'm employed as a housing officer for a housing association based in Edinburgh. That's simply a connection. The housing association, although it operates in West Lothian, I'm in a different team and have no interest in any properties in West Lothian.
Thank you. Councillor McMillan, followed by Councillor Clark. Anne?
Thank you, Provost. It's a transparency statement. I'm employed by Kirstine Sullivan, the Member of Parliament for Bathgate and Linlithgow. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Clark, followed by Councillor Macaulay. Pauline?
It's similar to Councillor McMillan. I'm employed by Angela Constance in our constituency office, but she's obviously Justice Minister as well, and it may be relevant to some of these motions, but just as a transparency statement.
Thank you. And Maria, Councillor Macaulay.
Thank you, Chair. Just as a transparency statement, I work for Angela Constance, MSP, in our constituency office.
Thank you. Colleagues, do we have any other declarations of interest? No, thank you. If there's no declarations of interest, that takes us to item 3, which is order of business. We have no urgent items of business. As you'd see on your agenda, we were expecting a deputation this morning. However, no one has turned up or contacted us to say that they were not available. Colleague, also under item order of business, formal questions as the new standing orders. We do have one formal question, which a written response was sent to item 7. We'll take that to item 7 just to confirm with Councillor Macaulay. Councillor Macaulay, do you have any supplementaries? You will do. That's fine then. We will take 17. Colleagues, again, this will take a while to get used to. Under the new standing orders, we have motions for the recognition of achievement. This is now under a list items for information under item 19. Is there any members wishing any of these motions brought forward? No, thank you. Colleagues, that takes us to item 5 then, which is the minutes and correspondence. Can I ask of members to note or confirm the minutes of Tuesday 18th of November? It's a correct record. Thank you. Can also draw members' attention to the correspondence and other items listed at B2I, and again for noting. Colleagues, happy with that? Great, thank you. I'm now going to pass to Leslie Montague on item 6 for the by-election for Whitburn, Blackburn, and it's over to yourself, Leslie.
Thank you, Provost. This is a verbal update to advise Council that the Whitburn and Blackburn ward by-election was held on the 11th of December. 2025. David McLennan has been declared as a newly elected member for the ward. Councillor McClellan has completed and signed his declaration of acceptance of office. Thank you, Provost.
Thank you. And on behalf of West Lothian Council, I'd just like to welcome Councillor McLennan to Council. Thank you. Colleagues, and moving on to item 7, which is a formal question, bins at flats by Councillor McCulloch. Councillor McCulloch has received a written response, and I now pass over to Councillor McCulloch for your 2 supplementaries. Maria?
Just like to thank Councillor Conn for his response. I just want to know, what plans does the council have to work more closely with managing agents and landlords to ensure bins are maintained properly without placing unnecessary cost on the council? Because I do appreciate that some of the buildings are joint, not just owned by the council, but they're other agencies.
Councillor Conn.
Thanks, Provost. I can advise Councillor McCulloch that officers actually have a running engagement with various partners where clearly there is I'm going to say a co-sharing of responsibility, but clearly where there are multi-parties, we try to engage and come to hopefully a solution to the issues which are raised in an area.
And also, I just wanted to ask, I know it's mentioned about the cameras, and this has previously been discussed in meetings I've had with officers and also in meetings that have been held in the chambers. Is there any progress on that, or what is happening there?
The actual installation of the CCTV cameras and when is really a matter for the officers as an operational matter rather than one-off policy as such. But clearly the fact that we have purchased equipment, etc., and we have that as an option, it would be nice to think that we wouldn't need to have a system where we're actually carrying out close surveillance of residents on a behaviour where, given the residents have the appropriate number of bins and style of bins, that we just simply ask them to use them as they are intended to be used. But yeah, we have CCTV cameras as an option to deploy should that be necessary, particularly where in circumstances it may well be that other materials are being dumped by non-residents. But I think it's proper that we don't advertise such times when that's going to happen until it's actually been done and we have evidence.
Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot. Colleagues, that takes us on to item 8, election business. Is there any election business? Nope, not seeing anything. Thank you. That takes us on to item 9, which is an officer report, elected members, unauthorised traveller, encampment working group. And I'll pass to Elaine Cook. Elaine, thank you.
Thank you, Provost. The purpose of this report is to provide an update on the progress of the Unauthorised Traveller Encampment Group. West Lothian Council, at its meeting on the 23rd of September 2025, agreed to establish a cross-party working group which was tasked to consider the current situation, issues, policy, procedures and possible improvements, and also recommend any changes to policy, procedure, practices and legislation which could secure improvement in the future. The group has met 3 times thus far. A copy of the attendees are in Appendix 1 of the report. Section D2 of the report details the group's discussions. Having considered matters outlined in D2, officers were asked to determine whether any suitable land in West Lothian existed for negotiated stopping places, which could be considered, and this is currently underway by officers. Work will also be undertaken to develop a framework setting out the Council's proposed policy position and also parameters within which the negotiated stopping places would be agreed going forward, and also detailing available Council services. The recommendations of the group will be reported to the Corporate Policy and Resources PDSP in April, with a further report taken to the full Council meeting on the 19th of May 2026. Also, on the 12th of December 2025, David McLennan was elected as councillor to the Whitburn and Blackburn ward. It is recommended that Council agrees that Councillor McLennan be invited to consider being part member of this cross-party working group. The Council is therefore asked to note the updated provided, note the further work to be progressed with the recommended reporting timescales to PDSP and full council, and also asked to agree that Councillor McLennan be invited to consider being a member of the group. Thank you, Provost.
Thanks, Dr. Cook. Colleagues, do we have any questions to the report? Councillor Angela Doran-Thompson. Angela?
Thank you, Provost. I have just one question, Elaine. So it's in regards to the negotiating stopping places. So I just wanted to be very clear. Are these being provided free of charge? Thank you.
Thank you, Provost. The group has not decided anything on the negotiated stopping places at the moment. Where the group have got to at the moment is asking the officers to determine if there is any land available. Further information on that will be provided through the group back at the PDSP in April.
Thank you. Do we have any further questions? There's no further questions to the report. Have any comments? Councillor Patel, followed by Councillor Angela Doran-Thompson. Sally?
Yeah, thanks very much, Provost. I just wanted to make a brief comment about how productive and valuable I had found the experience of being involved in the closed party working group, the cross party working group. I think it was slightly overwhelming. I'd like to say thanks very much both to Elaine and to Councillor Conn and to Councillor Doran-Thompson for their chairing duties and bringing us all together, because it was a huge amount of work that we managed to power through before Christmas, and it was really It was very positive to see the number of different agencies and departments that had come together to discuss this. So it was really just to pay tribute to the work of the officers and getting us as far along the road as we have come. And I very much look forward to working on the next part. So thank you.
Angela Doran-Thompson, followed by Councillor Miller.
Thank you, Provost. So as the councillor who initially brought this issue to full council, I want to take a moment to acknowledge the hard work and dedication of everyone involved in the Unauthorised Travel Encampment Working Group. This is an issue that has been raised with me time and time again by residents in my ward, and it's encouraging to see such a concerted effort to address these concerns. I'd like to extend my sincere thanks to officers for their reports and for the individual insights shared in our sessions. A big well done to everyone who has contributed, participated, those who have attended the meeting and engaged with the discussion. The sessions have been well attended and the quality of information shared has been incredibly useful in shaping our next steps. Whilst I agree with many of the points in the report, there are a few that I don't fully agree with. For example, we need to ensure waste disposable services are fair for both travellers and residents. Right now, residents need to book appointment for waste disposables, whereas travellers may have an easier access. I'm not sure residents would agree with this, and I certainly don't agree with this, and I did put that noted when we were at our meeting. I also want to mention the negotiated stopping places. While the concept has been explored, I do have concerns about the effectiveness and how it would work in practice. We need to be cautious to ensure the right approach for everyone. There are important questions about fairness, cost and practicality that need to be fully addressed before proceeding. Additionally, we need to make sure that we're consulting the residents, community councils to ensure that they are happy with these suggestions. It is vital that our residents and constituents are fully on board and that their concerns are addressed. If measures don't work, the travellers do not adhere to the process and the rules that are set out for them, then we need to prepare to take stronger action. We will have to look at changing legislation to ensure fairness and compliance. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Miller. Andrew?
Thanks, Provost. I think I would echo the comments from our previous two speakers and thanking the Chair for doing a really good job, on the elected members that are participating, the officers and the members from other organisations such as COSLA, litter pickers and the community councils. I think it's been a really positive experience so far. Hopefully we're moving towards a more positive approach to travelling engagement, and I think it's been a really good piece of work, so I look forward to it continuing. Thank you.
Thank you. Colleagues, is there any further comments? If there's no further comments, are we happy to note the recommendations in the report? Agreed. Thank you. Colleagues, this takes us to item 10, which is a motion commending PC McCulloch for domestic abuse prevention work in West Lothian schools. Councillor McCulloch, just before I bring you in, I'm just needing to check just a couple of things through the new standing orders, and I'm just going to check with our governance manager that this was presented to her before it went live. Councillor, Leslie.
Thank you, Prof. I can confirm that the motion has been checked for competence and lawfulness.
Thank you. Maria, do you have a seconder?
Yep.
Okay.
Thanks, Prof.
Councillor Stafford. Thank you. Councillor McCulloch, you have 5 minutes to speak to your motion. Thank you.
This motion recognises the inspiration and dedication of PC McCulloch in addressing a very delicate issue. Violence against women and girls remains one of the most serious issues facing our communities. Because
sorry, Maria, can you just maybe bring your mic? I'm finding it difficult maybe to hear. That's
is that better?
Aye.
Okay. Violence against women and girls remains one of the most serious issues facing our communities. It causes deep and lasting harm, not only to individuals, but to families and society as a whole. If we're serious about tackling it, we need to look beyond responding to harm and focus on preventing it from happening in the first place. That means early education and early intervention. West Lothian is fortunate to have a Police Scotland officer, PC McCulloch, delivering domestic abuse and healthy relationships education in schools across West Lothian. His work helps young people understand consent, recognise abusive behaviour, challenge misogyny, and most importantly, know that help is available and how to seek it. These are not abstract lessons, they're practical, real-life skills that can keep people safe. We recognise the very positive impact this work has had with pupils, staff and the wider school community. Feedback shows that these sessions start important conversations, challenge harmful attitudes and give young people the confidence to speak up. That's powerful. This also highlights the importance of strong partnership working, and no single organisation could do this alone. Early intervention matters. By reaching young people before harmful behaviours become entrenched, we can reduce further future harm and support women and girls not just today, but tomorrow. That is why this motion is so important. It recognises PC McCulloch's commitment and leadership, supporting the continuation and development of his work in our schools, and invites him to present to councillors so that we can better understand our own role in prevention. By sharing this good practice, we can strengthen prevention and work across West Lothian. This is a positive, practical step, and I urge members to support the motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Stafford. Pauline, 3 minutes.
Thanks, Provost. I'm really happy to support this motion from my colleague, Councillor McCulloch, because domestic abuse is not a marginal issue. It's a daily reality in all of our communities, and far too often it's a hidden one. There were figures that came out in December last year that showed that Police Scotland respond to a domestic abuse call every 8 minutes in Scotland. And in the past year alone, reports have risen by 10% to 66,000 incidents being reported across Scotland. But the truth of that, despite these figures, which are shocking as they are, this only represents the very tip of that iceberg. The majority of women never report abuse, and many children live with it in silence. And in fact, it's estimated that 1 in 5 children lives in a household where domestic abuse is present. We know that violence against women and girls is rooted in gender inequality, and that inequality is often learned from a very young age. So tackling that requires proactive, early and a relentlessly focused intervention. And that's why the work being done here in West Lothian is so important. Under the leadership of PC Scott McCulloch, every S4, S5 and S6 pupil has now received this bespoke education. creating safe spaces for young people to reflect on their own experiences at home, challenge harmful norms and stereotypes, and consider how their own behaviours will shape their future relationships is so important. This is what meaningful primary prevention looks like. It's about breaking cycles of abuse and giving young people, particularly young men, the tools to recognise controlling behaviour, challenge misogyny and choose respect over harm in their own relationships. But we do know that there's a huge amount of fantastic work going on across this council and with our partners, but to tackle domestic abuse and gender inequality. But we wanted wholeheartedly today to support and recognise this specific project as a really pioneering and proactive approach to this issue. I think it's all of our duty to ensure that women, children and families are safer sooner and not wait until they've experienced years of harm. So please support this motion.
Thanks, Molly. Thank you. Colleagues, do we have any amendments? No, I've not seen any amendments. Colleagues, if there is no amendments, then the motion is carried. And just to say to Councillor McCulloch, I'm happy to catch up with her to arrange a briefing, maybe at a future full council meeting. Okay, thanks, Maria. Thank you. Colleagues, that takes us to item 11, which is a motion on a review of councillors' attendance reports by Councillor McKee-Schemmel. Moira, can I just ask that you have had your motion checked for competency? Thank you. Moira, do you have a seconder, please?
I do, Councillor Miriam McCulloch.
That's lovely, thank you. Moira, you have 5 minutes to speak to your motion, okay?
Thanks, Provost. Firstly, I want to thank Councillor Alison Adamson for drawing my attention to the attention reports. In November, the SNP group brought forward a motion of no confidence in the council administration. This was an attempt by the opposition to challenge the Labour-led minority administration's handling of decision-making, particularly around community centres, and to argue that the current leadership had lost the confidence of the council, and the motion was defeated by 1 vote. During the debate, Councillor Adamson referred to the SNP spokesperson for education and claimed that this individual's attendance at relevant meetings was 30%. As I am the spokesperson for education, I assumed she was referring to me, and I sought the source of that statement. The source, as many will have guessed, was the biannual attendance report. It recorded that out of 3 relevant meetings...
Sorry, Councillor McKee-Schemmel, somebody's got a light on. Just give me 2 seconds. I'll stop the timer. Councillor Manning, do you have a point of order?
Point of order is relevance in relation to the introductory narrative that relates to the actual motion. Thank you.
Just continue, Moira. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I've lost the place now. The source, and many will have guessed, was the biannual attendance report. It recorded out of 3 relevant meetings, I had attended 1. However, what the report did not reflect was that I had underwent 2 major surgeries in 2025, one in January and another in July, each requiring significant recovery time, and that a colleague from my party had kindly substituted for me in my absence. I'm blessed with working with really collegiate people who really do try and help each other out. This situation prompted me to raise the questions outlined in my motion. Why is this information being collected? For what purpose? And is it valid if it does not give a true and accurate picture of who was actually present or represented at the meeting? When drafting the motion, I considered carefully whether councillors should be asked to provide reasons for their absence. Colleagues advised me that on many occasions they would welcome the opportunity for reasons to be recorded. For example, when a chair unilaterally changes a meeting and a committee member cannot attend the revised date. I would have been more than willing to record the reasons for my absence. But I want to be clear that providing such reasons would remain entirely at the discretion of the elected member. Therefore, I'm simply asking for a review of how attendance data is collected, specifically that it should reflect substitutions and allow reasons for absence to be provided where appropriate. I believe that this, along with a clear statement of why the information has been collected, would create a more accurate and meaningful picture of council attendance. Thank you.
Thanks, Moira. Councillor McCulloch. Maria, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Chair. We're all familiar with the biannual attendance reports that arrives in our inboxes. They present figures on councillors' attendance at committees. They do so without any explanation of why this data is being collected or how it should be used. Without a clear purpose, these reports bring being more confusing than helpful. Data should exist for a reason. It should inform decisions, improve practice, and support accountability. At present, there is no stated aim behind these reports, which makes it difficult to judge whether the information is accurate, meaningful, fit for purpose, and that alone justifies a review. There are also a real concern about the validity. The reports do not record when substitute members attend in place of councillors, as Councillor McKee-Schemmel has just said. As a result, these attendance figures presented for individuals or parties may not reflect the reality of the committee participation. That's not fair to members, and it does not give a true picture of how council business is being carried out. This motion is not about avoiding scrutiny. On the contrary, it is about making sure scrutiny is based on sound, reliable information. If we're going to publish and circulate data about elected members, it must be accurate and transparent. The motion also recognises that there may be value in recording reasons for non-attendance should members choose to provide them. This could help us understand whether meeting times and dates are suitable, and it could allow for greater understanding and support where absence is linked to health or personal circumstances. Importantly, this would also remain optional and at the discretion of the elected member. By asking officers to review this purpose, format and methods behind these reports and bring forward recommendations by March 26, we're taking a balanced and sensible approach. We're not scrapping the reports, but seeking to improve them so they're accurate, meaningful and fair. For those reasons, I urge members to support Councillor McKee-Schemmel's motion. Thank you.
Thanks, Maria. Thank you. Colleagues, do we have any amendments? Councillor Fitzpatrick.
Yes, Provost. Have an amendment which has been circulated to committee services, and I have a seconder.
Thank you. Councillor Fitzpatrick, can I ask if you have had your amendment checked for competency?
Yes, thank you.
Leslie, yeah, that has been confirmed. Thank you. And Councillor Manning, seconder. Al, can I ask, please, that this is distributed to members? Have you received it? Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Provost. We are in receipt of that and we'll get that circulated to members now.
We agree that attendance of elected members at council meetings is a core part of the democratic process to ensure they carry out their functions effectively. As such, biannual attendance reports should continue to be prepared and circulated to all elected members while being published on the council's website. This makes that information available to the public. The public are those who elect us. Ask Council to agree that the following statement be included in all future reports to define the report's scope and purpose. The attendance of all elected members at council meetings is recognised as a core part of the democratic process at local level and is integral to members carrying out their functions effectively. Let's recognise this is where decisions are made. The information presented in these pages indicates the number of meetings attended by each member, council, executives, PDSPs, integration joint board in which they serve. And percentages of attendance by groups as a whole are provided together with a party summary detailing the possible number of meetings that could be attended by all members in a group and the actual number of members and meetings attended. It must be highlighted this information details participation in decision-making committees and PDSPs, and it's accepted this does not necessarily reflect an individual councillor's workload or the workload of councillors as a group, because many councillors attend many other meetings of outside bodies on which the council as a discharge in its function. We recognise absence for a period of more than 6 months without an acceptable reason can lead to a councillor losing office. Elected members' attendance at meetings is recorded. If a member of council is not able to attend a meeting, they may give apologies. They may arrange for a substitute elected member to attend on their behalf where permitted by standing orders. And early in this minority administration, we did have a family-friendly approach whereby no meetings would start before 9:30 a.m. or after 3:30 p.m. Can I say the collection and publication of this data is vital. We must tell the electorate who elected us that we have attended meetings, that we have made decisions, and we reject the idea, as included in the motion, that there is a lack of purpose or validity or accuracy in the way the council discharges its business. So I move the amendments. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Mannion. Susan, you've got 3 minutes.
Thank you, Chair. I think Councillor Fitzpatrick has outlined very clearly in the amendment what the position is. But I think maybe to get back to the basic premise of this issue in the first place, the SNP amendment, the SNP motion has said, and it's constantly said in this chamber, that the information is inaccurate. Now, I'm struggling with that one. Has anybody seen themselves being recorded as being absent when they've not been absent, or have they attended when they didn't attend, or has it been recorded wrongly? So I'm struggling to work out why on earth that information that's in front of us would be deemed to be inaccurate. And if there is an inaccuracy with any of the data regarding individual councillors, then presumably that should be raised. Any issues regarding accuracy would be raised with officers. The basics of democracy are when we're voted to do a job, is that we turn up to do that job. And I'm really struggling to work out what on earth all of this is about in order to be able to, and it seems to be kicking up dust, creating a problem, and then being seen to try and solve it. Thank you.
Thanks, Susan. Thank you. Colleagues, do we have any further amendments? No further amendments. Any colleagues wishing to speak? Councillor Damien Doran-Timson, followed by Councillor Clark. Damien, you have 3 minutes.
Thanks, Provost. Don't need that. Just wish to almost repeat what Councillor Susan Mannion mentioned there. In particular, it was mentioned a couple of times by the Speaker and by the mover and the second of the motion about the accuracy of the data contained within, which to me is an affront to our excellent colleagues and those who support us in committee services who do a fantastic job throughout. And I do hope, in summing up, the mover of this motion would retract those statements and both apologise to committee services and no doubt repeat that she didn't actually mean to make those comments, because the work we get, both as councillors, whether you're chair of a committee or not, or a normal member from committee services, is fantastic. I think everyone in these chambers would agree with that. So that's the first point. And secondly, it got mentioned that the meetings may not suit all the members. Well, I've certainly had meetings where members have requested them be moved for a good reason, and meetings have been moved. So again, I think the flexibility exists from all who chair the meetings as much as they can do within governance and legalities. So yeah, I think I agree with Susan's final comment there that this motion is just a nonsense. And as ever, from our SNP colleagues at Chambers, rather than do something actually for the community of West Lothian, they just want to have another moan at what's going on within the council. Thank you, Provost.
Thank you. Councillor Clark. Pauline, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Provost. I think both the Conservative member and our Labour colleagues have completely misunderstood what Councillor McKee-Schemmel is asking. She's asking for a review, asking for the reasons, as explained by Lawrence Fitzpatrick, why we have it. And it is that we should be attending our committees, and I think actually everybody in here does, and that is recorded and we get that information. However, there is a piece of information missing from it, and that is when substitutes attend. We have a column, I think it is, when we look at it, that says that Labour's percentage was 95% and the Tories' percentage was 94.5% and the SNP's percentage was 99% or thereabouts. However, each of those could probably be raised quite considerably if the substitutions were recorded. And I don't think there's a problem with doing that. And I also think that when some members have a long period of time off, like what Moira explained with herself, when she had surgery, they might want to explain that to people because not everybody is interested to ask, but they may gossip about it. And it is quite nice if everyone can see, oh, what a shame. Poor Moira was in for surgery. That's why she didn't attend those education committees. I don't think it's an awful lot to ask. I think it's quite straightforward. And it's obviously something that irks some people and it doesn't irk others. But I think to ask for a review is not a great big ask indeed. And I think it could be improved and it could make people feel a little bit more content with the information that is provided to us all. Thank you.
Thanks, Pauline. Thank you. Councillor Orr, followed by Councillor Andrew Maguire. Excuse me, Pauline, you have 3 minutes. Sorry. 3 minutes. Excuse me.
Thanks, Provost. I just want to say that I really think that across the chamber has taken this completely out of context. Nobody is objecting to the collection of data in any way whatsoever. It's not data that's made public. We are just looking for some additional data to be collected to help to explain that where a member is not able to attend for whatever reason, generally health issues, but that committee is still being proportionately represented by the party that they stand for and represent by sending another, by a substitute standing in for them at that particular meeting. Now that is only for the meetings where that can be done. We've got meetings where you have to have special training, etc., to be able to undertake, and if that's not possible, that's fair enough. And at no point during the context of that motion, Councillor Damien Doran-Timson, did we say at any time that officers were reporting anything wrongly? They are not reporting anything wrongly.
Colleagues, please. Colleagues.
Is he going to start?
Hold on, mumbling. Right. Councillor Orr, I'll deal with the meeting. I am just about to. Anyway. Councillor Damien Doran-Timson, I hope this is a point of order.
I hope so too, Provost.
Okay.
Point of order, the councillor speaking there has completely told an untruth about what I said 2 minutes ago. Surely her memory isn't that bad.
Councillor
mentioned that the data was
Councillor Orr. Thank you, Councillor Damien Doran-Timson. Councillor Orr, if you carry on, please.
We are simply asking for a review, and for that review to include additional information that may help in the reporting exercise. Because some of these reports, in case you weren't aware, go all the way to Audit Committee and Risk and Governance, etc., for scrutiny. So it is not just this sort of information, but information across the board. That is what we are asking for today. So I would certainly ask that you support the motion.
Thank you. Before I move on to Councillor Maguire and Councillor Conn, Councillor Damien Doran-Timson, you've still got your light on. You've already been in, so I have to ask you to I don't know. Is it a point of order? No. Right. Okay. Councillor Maguire, followed by Councillor Cohn. Andrew, you have 3 minutes.
Yeah, thanks very much, Provost. I think that the sentiment that Councillor Fitzpatrick put across is the right one. We were elected to hold public office, and I think it's right and just. And we also have to put ourselves up for election every 5 years, and I think it's right and just that within that time frame, people understand what we've been doing. And the way councils work is that we sit on committees that make decisions about things, and I think it's only appropriate that that people know if we've been sitting on the committees and making decisions or not. I'm sympathetic to the personal circumstances that Councillor McKee-Schemmel highlighted when she was talking, and I know that personal circumstances and personal health can get in the way, but I fail to understand what is missed or what would be achieved from a review that Councillor Fitzpatrick isn't already suggesting in his amendment. He's already suggesting that we could come up with some way to include substitutes. I'd also be remiss of me not to highlight that I can't have a substitute because I sit as an independent, so that might be to my detriment. But I think that the amendment's very clear and concise, and I would also welcome the publication of it on the council's website, because I think that that would further incentivise attendance, perhaps, if sometimes that's not possible. So yeah, I think the amendment's very good, and I think that we're having a debate over not very much, if I'm truthful with you.
Thank you. Councillor Cohn, followed by Councillor Adamson. Tom, you have 3 minutes.
Thanks, Provost. I just find this motion as we're dancing on the head of a pin. If the motion had actually came forward and actually stipulated what it was being looked for rather than a review, then this could have all been sorted even by speaking to committee services to see if something could be done. What would be practical before we actually asked for a review. One of the papers that was up before us earlier was the meeting of the Education Quality Assurance Committee, where Councillor McKee-Schemmel's apologies are in, and are recorded as such, and there's a substitute in. It's factual. That is then reported as part of a more comprehensive report. Well, how would you do anything different? Whether it's a case of I want to explain why I wasn't there or not, just heard where that could be optional. So again, what we'd actually trying to determine. Simple solution, colleagues, just listening to the mover and what's been said by Councillor Lawrence Fitzpatrick. Simple coding change instead of an apology. It could well be putting A replaced by S to indicate that the apology is in and the person's substituted. It's got nothing to do with party numbers and influence and whatever. It's about the public knowing that a member of that committee attended and participated or didn't. And if that person was substituted, it's recorded as such. Why are we discussing this on the way in which we record basic information? Just bring it forward and do it, rather than what we're actually wasting time discussing. Points of order we from Damien and whatever, which I do understand. But and with Andrew, well, Andrew can substitute with other 32 members if he wants. He can ask anybody to substitute for him. I know you're a hard act to follow, Andrew, but let's be honest. But I mean, is this what the public are listening to? Whether somebody's apologies are recorded or not? I'm sorry, Moira, but I think you've got a wee bit a tender spot here. I was off for a while. I don't care if
30 seconds, Councillor Cohn, sum up, please.
Yeah, no, I don't care if people know I was off because I was unwell or whatever. People can see me down the high street. They can ask why I wasn't at a meeting. It's public information and people are entitled to ask. But for heaven's sake, let's not get all worked up about a review to do something which should have actually been maybe done in the background rather than coming up for all 33 councillors to discuss. I support the motion, thank you. The amendment. See, mistakes can happen.
Thank you.
It can be corrected.
Right, colleagues. Councillor Adamson. Alison, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Provost, and thank you, colleagues. And this has got to be the most self-centred, bizarre motion that I've ever encountered as a councillor. When an elected member questions, and I quote, The intent behind the collection and publication of data is unclear. You have to question that member's reasoning. Is it perhaps through embarrassment of their poor attendance record or that of their colleagues? But then to further question, and again a quote, it's not possible to assess whether the data collected is correct or fit for its intended use. This is a blatant attack on the integrity of our committee services officers who are recording information that is pure documentation of official council committee meeting records. This is legally required under standing orders. And for the record, I'd like to thank the team, and the majority of us really do appreciate your work. It's a matter of public record, as are committee meeting records, and to ensure provision for transparency and information, and has been so since 1998. At the beginning of each new council, councillors are appointed as members of various committees. If a member appointed is later unavailable to attend, they can appoint a substitute in their place. But they are still the recorded member for that particular committee. So whether the non-attendance is due to health, family circumstances, being in employment, dealing with constituency issues, getting your toenails painted, being on holiday or otherwise unavailable, it's irrelevant to the committee recording process. You don't expect everyone to give a reason for absence. If members feel the need to explain their circumstances, this is highly questionable. If the member is unable to attend, no need for reasons, so accept it. This is about each member deciding for themselves if they can continue as the member of that particular committee or not. And if not, step aside and let another councillor take the place. Standing orders allow for that at every full council meeting. Bless you. Do I get extra time for that? It wasn't me, by the way.
Nice try, Alison. Keep going.
I've only got a wee bit. It is in the public interest to know how their elected representatives are meeting and their
30 seconds, Alison.
Oh no.
Yes.
Obligations and duties. It's not unreasonable for the data to be shared amongst members. The key is personal responsibility. And by the way, it's not a competition or a contest, but if it was, Moira, I had 2 major operations and my attendance is 100%, so I think I win. Thank you.
Okay, colleagues, do we have any other comments, please? If there's... Right, guys, come on. Councillor Boyle. Willie, you have 3 minutes.
Oh, thanks, Chair. I think this is asking for a motion based on continuous improvement. I don't think it's anything other than that. I mean, because we do the same old every time, doesn't mean to say it should be reconsidered every now and again. I think this has been blown out of proportion, I think, by the amendment. It was a straightforward request for a review. As this is information put round the public, and it's not how we understand and operate within the system, it's how the public review the information that's put out. So for that point of view, it was a fairly, in my opinion, reasonable motion to put forward. I didn't quite expect the level of debate we would have. And I think Councillor Maguire actually answered his own argument. I mean, Andrews, as an independent, is not necessarily able to have a substitute at hand as an independent. And so if he wished that to be recorded, that could be recorded as well. It's not about hiding things or being more transparent. It's just about being straightforward with the public as to the services they expect and they get from us as elected members. So I don't see what the issue is about looking to be more efficient and open with the information we collect or the detail in that information. Support the motion.
Thank you. Colleagues, do we have any further comments? There's no further comments. I'm now going to pass over to Councillor Moira McKee-Schemmelt to sum up. Moira, you have 5 minutes.
I'm quite baffled by this, to be perfectly frank. I was just talking about the review of councillor attendance reports that comes round biannually and the information that's in that. And anyone that's ever been involved in anything to do with the collection of data, you question it. Is this information giving us the information that we need? Is there anything missing? Is it valid? And when I had a look at it, I questioned its validity, which is the reason why I've brought this up. At absolutely no point did I say that we shouldn't collect the data. Of course we should collect the data. In fact, what I've been asking for is it for it to be more robust. And it was, I thought that the councillor attendance reports was not in the public domain. That was my understanding, but I would completely agree that it should be. I agree with a lot's been said that democratically we're here to meet the needs of our constituents and to be accountable. I agree with that 100%. But what we have here, I think, in the amendment is a lot of word salad that basically agrees with what I'm saying. So thank you very much for that. I take cognizance of what Councillor Conn said. Probably he's right. I could have done this, asking council officers to whether this could be done. But I thought we should all do it collectively and see how we want to pull the data about our attendance. I think there should be information about the subs that are there. If anybody wants to give any other information, then that's fine. And everything else, I think, is so much hyperbole, to be honest. So my motion's quite simple. I've asked for a review of the sheets that come round biannually, and I didn't think it would generate so much politicking. Thank you.
Thank you, Moira. I'm just going to pass over to Leslie for the vote. Leslie?
Thank you, Provost. There are 33 votes to be cast. The vote will be undertaken electronically. You have the motion by Councillor McKee-Shelmett. That is your yes button. You have the amendment by Councillor Fitzpatrick. That is your no button. And there is a third button there for abstain. Thank you, Provost. All votes have now been cast. There are 15 votes for the motion, 18 votes for the amendment. The amendment is carried.
Thanks, Leslie. Thank you. Colleagues, that takes us on to the next item on the agenda, which is item 12, which is a notice of motion for the UK Government proposals on immigration and asylum policy. And that's been submitted by Councillor McKee-Shelmett. Leslie, can you confirm if this email has been checked for competency? Sorry, Councillor Fitzpatrick.
Sorry. Yes, I have I have a seconder, Councillor Mannion.
Sorry,
Oh, sorry, beg your pardon.
You okay?
Yeah, fine.
Sorry, right, colleagues. Obviously, we're now on to item 12. I was just checking with Leslie in relation to the competency. Leslie?
Thank you, Provost. I can confirm that the motion has been checked for lawfulness and competence. Thank you.
Okay. Moira, are you the mover of this motion? Yeah. Okay, and your seconder? Councillor Patel. Okay. Thank you. Moira, you have 5 minutes to speak to your motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Provost. Let me be clear, this motion predates the recent by-election. I also want to sincerely thank Councillor Sally Patel for her invaluable help on a topic that is too often misrepresented. Thank you, Sally, sincerely. This motion asks a simple, urgent question. How can West Lothian Council continue to protect vulnerable children and young people who are asylum seekers and refugees within an altered status regime? Labour's proposal need urgent clarification. They ignore Scotland's economic needs and appear driven more by electoral calculation than reality. As Zach Polanski notes, their approach is restrictive, punitive and motivated by fear. In uncertain times, people look for someone to blame. Zygmunt Bauman, the sociologist and Holocaust survivor, warned us that in a liquid world, unstable, unpredictable, constantly shifting, fear spreads easily and finds targets. Outsiders, migrants, refugees, they are easy prey. Words matter. Calling people swarms or an island of strangers dehumanises them. History, Bowman reminds us, shows where that leads. The stranger is not the danger. Fear-driven politics is. Fear divides communities. Fear destabilises families. Fear hurts children. Labour's proposals reviewing rights every 30 months creates insecurity. Families live on probation. Children lose stability, routines and friendships. This is not just an immigration issue, it's a safeguarding issue. Our duty is to protect children, not to manage them. The Refugee Council warns that these reviews will be expensive and administratively burdensome, potentially costing taxpayers hundreds of millions. Estimates suggest around 872 million over the first decade. Yet myths persist. Migrants strain services, take jobs, increase crime. The evidence shows the opposite. Migrants contribute to our economy, to public services and to communities. Here in West Lothian, we see it every day. Children from other countries attend school, make friends, learn and play. Families build homes, communities thrive. This is the real face of migration, contribution. Why do misconceptions persist? Selective media and fear-driven politics feed them. Decades of austerity have left public services underfunded. Inequality is rising. Politics is volatile, even frightening. Bowman observes that in such times, blaming outsiders is easier than confronting systemic problems. The causes of socio-economic strain are not migration, they are austerity, inequality and a system that leaves people vulnerable, and these are the real challenges. Our role is simple. Challenge fear with facts, insecurity with stability, division with dignity. Protect children, protect families, protect communities. Support those seeking safety and those already here. As Bowman reminds us, humanity is tested, not in comfort, but in fear. Let us choose humanity over fear. Facts over fiction and children over politics. Thank you. Please support the motion.
Thanks, Moira. Policy, before I just move on to Councillor Pato, can I just ask if there is anybody having any conversations and so forth, can you take them outside? Because your voices are carrying up here, okay? Even when you're thinking, it's whispering and so forth. So it's just for respect for other people as well, okay? Okay, Sally, you have 3 minutes. Thanks. You.
Thank you very much, Provost. I'd just like to open by saying a really heartfelt thanks to Councillor McKee-Shemalt for approaching me to work on this motion with her. I for practical reasons, have to work collegiately with all of you, but I have to say that I really enjoy that. I think it's the way that local politics and any politics works best if we can all work together. So thanks very much to Moira for approaching me to work with her on this motion. We wrote it together last November in the immediate aftermath of the Westminster Government's publication of the Restoring Order and Control paper, which proposes major changes to immigration and asylum policy. And I know that we all know the current Westminster Government has a real penchant for U-turns. But since the announcement in November, there has been little in the way of clarification, and it still is the current government's proposed proposals. As far as we know, we haven't had a U-turn yet. I think what myself and others in this chamber are concerned about, and elsewhere outside, what we are concerned about is that it has potentially large-scale ramifications for working practices and policies at local authority level, which of course includes the work that we do here in West Lothian. And that is what this motion is about. All we are seeking is clarity from the Home Office as to what the new proposals will mean, in particular with regards to vulnerable children and young people, how we can work that with the statutory duties that we have. I do really appreciate, I believe that Labour do have an amendment, and again, I really appreciate them reaching out to us before today's meeting to try and reach a composite motion. I think that it's really heartening that it seems like basically everybody in this chamber agrees that the rights of vulnerable young people and children are absolutely paramount. So I think for that reason, I don't need to say any more. I'm just going to urge people to support this motion.
Thank you. Colleagues, do we have any amendments? Councillor Fitzpatrick.
I have an amendment, Chair, which has been circulated to the committee services and which has been cleared by the Clerk and Director of Finance and Property Services and the Governance Manager. And I have a seconder in Councillor Mannion. Thank you.
Okay. Leslie, can you just confirm the competency of, you have seen the amendment and it's competent?
Thank you, Provost. I can confirm that the amendment has been checked for competency and lawfulness.
Thank you. And Councillor Mannion, you are seconding, yeah? Thank you. Al, can you confirm that you have received the amendment?
We have, Provost, and we'll get that circulated to members now.
It is a fact that the Home Office in November did publish the Restoring Order and Control, proposed major changes to immigration and asylum policy. It is a matter of record that the UK Government said that this was in response to considerable public concern. There were various instances of which we're all aware. I gave a lot of thought to the motion being put forward by my colleagues, Councillor Schemmelt and Councillor Patel. The motion, in my view, is an underpinning and a reiteration of the SNP government views, a government which views itself as independent, but is not independent, thank goodness, and hopefully it will never be, but it seems to be, it likes to speak out on retained issues constantly. And I don't think their view has the support of the Scottish people. It is the case that the accommodation of asylum seekers is a Home Office responsibility. That is the law. Social Policy in Council provides accommodation for unaccompanied asylum-seeking children who receive leave to remain, and potentially after this as a carer leaver. That is the law. All local authorities have a corporate parent duty for unaccompanied asylum-seeking children. And in this county, they have an allocated social worker. And we have a duty to provide through care and aftercare to leavers, including those who are unaccompanied asylum-seeking children and refugees, which, as the law stands, can be up to the age of 26, and we discharge that duty. Members are asked to note that Guardianship Scotland provides a statutory specialist independent advocacy service for children and young people in relation to welfare, asylum, immigration and age assessment process. We as a council have procedures and guidance in place for all staff, including multi-agency child protection procedures and the trafficking and exploitation procedures for children and adults. However, this was passed in November, and I asked Council to agree to instruct our Chief Executive to write to the Home Secretary requesting further information to understand if the changes of the Restoring Order and Control policy will require legislative or practice change, and ask Council to note that measures which we have in place to ensure compliance and continued compliance with the UNCRC Incorporation Scotland Act 2024. I also ask members to note this is a multi-agency partnership work going on in West Lothian to support effective implementation of the UN Convention of the Rights of the Child Incorporation Scotland Act 2024, and that rights-based practices are embedded when considering children in need and looked after children. Ask Councillors to support the amendment. Thank you very much, Provost.
Thank you. Councillor Mannion. Susan, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Provost. Yes, I did hope that we could have a composite motion, because I think partially the intent around the original motion and indeed the amendment is clear. And the composite would have been also about a focus on ensuring that those most vulnerable are looked after, that there is a rights-based approach, that we ensure that there is due respect to all and due processes are followed, and that we go forward in terms of any reviews or anything that we do and take forward as a council or as a government with compassion and care for those that need it most. And I think essentially that's what this amendment is about too, to emphasise that is what underpins the policy. The original motion comes through a huge political prism. It's about ensuring that the worst possible case scenario is put forward, which just essentially just kind of creates the divisions of thought about how it is that we want to deal with the issue of immigration and the issue of how we deal with it as being somehow automatically creating fear and despair, frankly. So I ask you to support the motion. The amendment. I've just been sitting next to Tom for too long. I do wish to ensure that we can support the amendment, because that will clarify exactly what the position is, and that ignore political rhetoric that is coming from the SNP opposition, who take something and create a division as opposed to something that we could actually work together on. Thank you.
Colleagues, do we have any further amendments? No, if there's no further amendments, do we have any requests to speak? Councillor Maguire, followed by... Sorry, Councillor Pato, your light's on. You'll have to put your light. You've already spoken. You've seconded. No, unfortunately not. Councillor Maguire, you have 3 minutes.
We'd be debating here all day if you were allowed to come back in again. Thanks very much, Provost, and thanks to Councillor McKee-Shemmelt and Councillor Patel for bringing forward this motion. I had naively hoped this morning that we would reach a composite that perhaps we could all agree on in the chamber, and we could reach the point where we had one unified voice on this. Immigration's undoubtedly a huge issue within the country and a thorny issue, and I think lots of politicians back away from talking about it because of the difficulty that can come with discussion of it. So that's why I really welcome the motion. I think Councillor McKee-Shemmelt's assessment of immigration is probably the one that I would adopt. that people aren't scared of immigration in and of itself. They're frustrated by the poor circumstances, poor public services and poor life chances that are afforded to them. And I think that we need to be hammering home that message as much as possible and trying to improve people's lives rather than trying to point the finger of blame to someone else who happens to want to come to this country to seek a better life for themselves and their families. I think we should be very proud of that fact, that people want to come here, want to start their lives here, want to embed their families here, and I don't think we should ever shy away from that. I've ultimately opted to support the motion because I think that it sends out the right message, the kind of message that I would hope like to send in West Lothian, that it's a warm, welcoming and vibrant place, and there's a place for everyone within West Lothian within it. So whilst I agree with the sentiment of the amendment as well, I think that the tone struck within the motion is the way that I'll be voting today. And once again, just thanks for bringing forward this very thorny and emotive subject in such a compassionate way.
Yeah. Councillor Orr. Pauline, you have 3 minutes.
Thanks, Provost. I just want to comment that, as with any new immigration laws, they must be fully thought out to ensure that vulnerable children and young people are protected. West Lothian has a deep history for welcoming refugees and supporting them, as we do for our own vulnerable children. And though many move further afield, if they do get the right to remain, many more stay in our communities, providing much needed support to our public services and the wider local community. UK immigration is reserved to the UK government, but the impact of any decision that is being made will be far-reaching, and it must be done with transparency and with compassion. And I would ask you to support this motion brought to us today by both Councillors McKee-Shemmelt and Councillor Patel.
Thank you. Councillor Campbell. Nana, you have 3 minutes.
Thanks, Chair. What I kind of find most troubling here today is that in West Lothian, Scotland, my colleagues have felt the need to bring this motion to council at all. I thank them for doing it, and I welcome this motion being brought forward today. Over 1 million people fled Ireland in the 19th century due to what they termed the Great Hunger. Many thousands rebuilt their lives here in West Lothian, including a Macy, my own family. And without the labour of these men and women who also worked in the mines, the world's first oil boom would never have happened. What's been forgotten is that behind these UK Labour government proposals are women, men and children who have survived war and persecution and arrive here with almost nothing. I appreciate the Home Secretary wants to sound tough, but these proposals will not fix any of the problems in the asylum system. Instead, they'll only create more delays and more stress for the same people the system was designed to protect. Because what the UK Labour government are proposing is to revisit asylum decisions every 30 months. This will only create further chaos and will certainly not bring control. Adding hundreds of thousands of repeat reviews will swamp an overstretched system and will only leave families, including children at school, living with years of unnecessary uncertainty. When people find safety here, as we in West Lothian have had the privilege of experiencing many times over the last 150 years, they go on to contribute hugely to our community, and by their efforts, our community. And I want to make sure that West Lothian remains a welcoming place for refugees from across the world. The plan to review refugee status every 30 months is not only unworkable, it's also extremely costly, with a small c, estimates at around 1.27 billion over the first decade alone. So applying this scheme to people already granted protection will just make this unmanageable system even worse. And whilst we appreciate that immigration policy is reserved to the UK government, responsibility for children's services is devolved to the Scottish Government, and that means that these responsibilities are then devolved to West Lothian Council. So what this motion is seeking to do is confirmation as to how the UK Government considers West Lothian
30 seconds, Janet.
Can continue to protect vulnerable children, and reaffirming West Lothian Council's commitment to supporting refugees and people seeking asylum within our communities. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. No more. Janet, you've just put your light on again. Sorry. That's it. I'm just passing over. That's out now. Moira, if you'd like to sum up, thanks. You've got 5 minutes.
Thank you, Provost. Okay, let me close with this. The debate isn't about reserved versus devolved powers. We heard a bit about that from Councillor Fitzpatrick. It's about our statutory responsibility to safeguard children in West Lothian. And if national policy creates instability for those children, it's my opinion that we have a duty to speak up. Labour's proposals would force families to live in 30-month cycles of fear, never fully settled, never fully secure. Children would lose stability, routines and friendships. This is not a theoretical concern, it's a safeguarding concern. The evidence tells us 3 things clearly. First, migrants can contribute more than they take. Second, public services are strained because of austerity, not because of migration. And third, instability is expensive, financially and socially. Repeated reviews will cost hundreds of millions and undermine integration. I was astonished, actually, that my motion was accused of being aimed at division. I was aiming for the opposite. We need to be firm. We need policies that are firm but fair, not about control. It's often bureaucracy for its own sake and for political expedience, and it does nothing to strengthen cohesion or confidence. Our communities in West Lothian thrive when families feel safe, when children can learn without fear, and when people know that they belong. And I welcome that. West Lothian is a place. I welcome what Andrew Maguire has said, that we want West Lothian to be a place that people do feel safe and they do feel welcome. Bowman reminded us, I've felt it really useful preparing for this today to go back to the works of Zygmunt Bowman, and if people aren't familiar with it, I would recommend it, and his whole concept of othering people and the concept of a stranger and how societies deal with that. But Bowman reminds us that fear spreads easily in uncertain times, and we cannot say that we are not currently living in uncertain and volatile times, and it's quite understandable that many of us are fearful. But our job isn't to amplify that fear, our job is to steady the ground beneath people's feet. We can choose fear-driven policies, or we can choose facts, humanity, crucially humanity, and the safety of children. My motion chooses the latter. Thank you.
Thank you. Colleagues, we'll just go straight over to the vote. Leslie?
Thank you, Provost. There are 33 votes to be cast. The vote will be undertaken electronically. There is the motion by Councillor McKee-Shelmett. That is your yes button. There is the amendment by Councillor Fitzpatrick. That is your no button. And there is a third button there for abstain. Thank you, Provost. All votes have now been cast. There are 18 votes for the motion, 15 votes for the amendment. The motion is carried.
Thank you. Colleagues, that takes us on to item 13. It's a notice of motion on bulky waste build-up and removal by Councillor Crowley. Councillor McCulloch. Maria, can you confirm that the motion has been sent to Governance Manager for competency?
This is a duplicate, so yes.
It is, thank you. Do you have a seconder?
I do, yes. It's Councillor Pauline Orr.
Thank you. Leslie, can you just confirm the competency, please?
Thank you, Provost. I can confirm that the motion has been checked for lawfulness and competence.
Thank you. Maria, you have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chair. This motion is before us again because the problem's not gone away. Residents across West Lothian are increasingly concerned about bulky waste piling up in gardens and communal areas. Items such as furniture and mattresses are being left for long periods, not through choice, but because disposal options are limited and often too costly. High cost of special uplifts is a major barrier when people cannot afford to dispose of large items. Waste build-ups. This creates environmental problems, attracts vermin, and has a negative impact on our communities, particularly in shared and flatted areas. This is not just about appearance. Waste build-up poses real public health and environmental risk, and ignoring it only leads to bigger problems and greater costs over time. This council believes residents should have access to affordable bulky waste removal and that we must explore practical solutions that help people manage waste properly. The motion does exactly that. It calls for a review of current bulky waste services so we can understand the scale of the issue and the barriers residents face. It asks for us to consider subsidised or free uplifts for households in financial hardship, ensuring support is fair and targeted. It also encourages exploring community collection days or waste amnesty schemes alongside better promotion of recycling and reuse purposes. Importantly, this motion does not demand immediate change without evidence. It asks for a review and for officers to report back with clear recommendations for a long-term solution. This is a sensible, responsible approach that puts the communities first, and I urge members to support the motion. Thank you.
Thanks, Maria. Maria, did you say it was Councillor Orr? Seconded? Yeah, that's what I thought. Pauline, you have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thanks, Provost. I welcome the opportunity to second this motion brought to Council today by my colleague. What has become clear over the last 12 months or more is that the decision to apply a cost to bulky uplifts has had a significantly negative impact on people's lives and the environment that they live in. More and more there are reports of rat infestation as just one example, not just around outside areas but also in housing stock and domestic developments where because families are holding on to rubbish in home, attracting vermin inside. That enables the rats, etc., to breed. There is already an issue with fly tipping, and this is adding to the public health and environmental risks. Council needs now to undertake a review and revisit the measures previously agreed. As the cost of living crisis continues more and more, people are watching every penny. And faced with putting food on the table or paying for an uplift, food is the priority. Measures like collection days and improving public awareness for disposal of rubbish, having periodic dedicated pedestrian-only days, for example, at recycling centres, could make a massive difference. I would encourage full Council today, therefore, to support this motion today. Thank you.
Thank you. Colleagues, do we have an amendment? If there's no, Councillor Conn. Councillor Conn, can you confirm your...
Just to confirm there is no amendment.
Okay. Okay, if there's no amendment, then the motion is carried. Thank you. Taking us on to item 14, notice of motion on fireworks noise ban by Councillor Adamson. Councillor Adamson, do you have a seconder? Councillor Heggie, thank you. Leslie, you just confirm the competency of the motion?
Thank you, Provost. I can confirm that the motion has been checked for competency and lawfulness.
Thank you. Councillor Adamson, you have 5 minutes. Thank you.
Thanks, Provost, and thanks, Leslie. This motion calls for the UK Prime Minister and the Scottish First Minister to instruct their ministers to create legislation that addresses the ban on sales to the general public of UK and imported manufactured noise-making fireworks. West Lothian Council recognises the public nuisance and mayhem that noise-producing fireworks are causing and notes that it is communities throughout the UK that are also affected. The legislation in force is woefully inadequate. It's a toothless tiger, in fact, and noise levels have never been dealt with when considering the present legal framework that's in place. The loud noise-making fireworks are attractive to the antisocial elements that create misery, stress and fear within our communities. Pet owners, farmers, ex-service personnel, parents of young children, vulnerable people like the elderly, people who are neurodiverse or suffer from mental health, stress and anxiety conditions, animal rescue centres, zoos. In fact, there's so many groups, I can't even list them all being subjected to loud explosions that cause fear and panic. There's absolutely no need for it, as it is possible to reduce this public nuisance. Then we look at the unbearable pressure on our already overstretched fire and rescue service. The police, the court system and the hospital accident and emergency services. These are the services who have to deal with the out-of-control antisocial elements associated with the misuse of fireworks. The attraction is the loud bangs. It seems that the louder the better for some, and removing that element would make a huge difference to their attractiveness. We've seen the carnage that was caused in Glasgow and Edinburgh with street riots, and despite firework control zones, powers of the police to enforce dispersal zones and threats of fines of up to 5,000 or 6,000 or 6 months rather in prison for setting off fireworks, the legislation in force is not enough to curb the problem. There is currently a private member's bill going through the UK Parliament that at least acknowledges now noise levels, but that's only for reducing the decibels from 120 to 90 decibels. To put that in perspective, 120 decibels is the sound of a jet plane, a thunderclap or a chainsaw, and 90 decibels is equivalent to a motorcycle up close or a subway train. These are very loud sounds. Both of these levels are capable of causing permanent hearing loss, and that's totally unacceptable. An outright ban on all fireworks is not required, and according to the British Fireworks Association, a total ban could have unintended consequences, and it's not a proportionate measure. However, a legal regulated market protects the public. Any ban would remove the legal protection, making it harder for the authorities to monitor what's being sold and to whom. And it's also useful to remember that people can purchase fireworks online. The Co-op discontinued selling fireworks in 2016 and Sainsbury's in 2019, and it's commendable that they put people before profit. Last year, Tesco stopped selling in Scottish stores, Asda stopped selling in Edinburgh stores following riots there, and Aldi and Lidl only sold fireworks in certain selected stores, but this did all help reduce some of the community disturbances. In October last year, West Lothian Police seized a whopping £70,000 to £100,000 worth of commercial-grade fireworks with 318 kilograms of explosive material. Now, it's difficult to ascertain where it was destined for, but it clearly wasn't for some family-friendly bonfire party. Last week in Edinburgh, when Falkirk were playing Hearts, fireworks and pyrotechnics were being used illegally despite the new legislation that's currently in force. The noise element plays a huge attraction in their misuse. By removing the noise, they are less attractive. What is needed is a joint collaboration of UK and Scottish Government legislation to control the noise-making elements that are currently being marketed as loud, and it seems they are getting louder with each year.
30 seconds, Councillor Adamson.
Thank you. I urge you to support this motion and let us represent our constituents who are being subjected to unnecessary, noisy, antisocial use of fireworks when it is possible to have a much quieter alternative. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Heggie, you have 3 minutes. Peter.
Thank you very much, Provost. I was very pleased when my colleague, Councillor Adamson, discussed setting up this motion. We chatted about it, obviously, when she was putting it together. I think we can all agree that the use of fireworks has changed probably over a generation, maybe 2 generations. We grew up when traditionally early November there would be a fireworks display, perhaps in a park, sometimes in a home, sometimes centrally within a town or a city. But we've seen that change. You've seen now on the run-up to traditionally what would have been the 5th of November, Fireworks Day, sometimes 2, maybe 3 weeks before, people are setting fireworks off, and then probably 2, maybe 3 weeks after. The major problem is it's antisocial behaviour. There's no getting away from it. As an elected member, I've been contacted by, as Councillor Adamson says, people who are pet owners, people with young children, and obviously we can never forget the people we should be incredibly proud of in our community, the veterans. These kind of noises are completely unacceptable. What Councillor Adamson's discussing in her motion is that, yeah, we understand there can obviously be pleasure from fireworks, there can be ways to get people together, but as the kind of nature of this item's changed, they have become incredibly noisy. You can hear them yourself sometimes over television when you're driving. It can be quite distracting as well. But I think you've got to think about certain areas where I had multiple, again, emails, calls, people coming along to my surgeries, where in certain streets across West Lothian, this was a constant for, in some cases, close to a month. And there's no way that can ever be acceptable. It's a horrendous situation to live in. It comes down, as Councillor Addison says, there's then calls to the Council for support, to Police Scotland for support. These services are under incredible pressure as it is. And we need to be looking as a community that the ask of this motion is not ridiculous. It's very straightforward. It comes down to considering your neighbours, comes down to rules being set in place to protect the well-being and the well-being of everybody we associate with everybody. I would urge everyone to support Councillor Adamson's excellent motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Colleagues, do we have any amendments? No, if there's no amendments, then the motion is carried. Thank you, colleagues. Next item is item 15. It's a notice of motion, modular housing for West Lothian, submitted by Councillor Angela Dawn Timson. Angela, you got a seconder?
Yes, I do, Provost. Damien.
Thank you. Angela, I'm just going to confirm for competency. Okay, Leslie? Has the motion been confirmed?
Yes, it has been checked for both competence and lawfulness. Thank you.
Thank you. Angela, you have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Provost. This motion is deeply personal to me and long overdue. Back in November 2022, I submitted a motion calling for West Lothian Council to explore modular and container housing as a solution to our growing housing crisis. At the time, we set up a small working group and we held one meeting. That was it. Officers reported back. While modular are quick build options, could deliver homes quickly. The cost and delivery times were similar to traditional houses and no funding was available from the Scottish Government. Since then, the situation has worsened in West Lothian. Currently, we have 646 households in temporary accommodation with a further 185 people in bed and breakfast or hotel placements. Many of these are children and families waiting on secure homes. This puts West Lothian amongst the highest level of temporary accommodation in Scotland, currently ranking at 4th highest among all councils, behind Glasgow City, Fife and Edinburgh. Even though we are not the largest authority, the pressure locally is severe and growing every day. Families are living in uncertainty, children are missing stability, and our schools and health services are feeling the strain. This is not just a statistic. It is about children missing stability, parents under stress, and lives held in limbo. Modular housing offers a practical solution. It is fast to deliver than traditional builds, highly flexible and can be scaled to meet local needs. Across the UK, councils in Manchester, Liverpool, Fife and elsewhere have successfully used modular housing to provide affordable, high-quality houses in months rather than years. Modern modular houses are energy efficient, sustainable and built to last, meeting high environmental standards. The Scottish Government have committed over £1 billion to affordable housing. West Lothian must be proactive in accessing this funding and demonstrating that we are ready to deliver rapid effect. Solutions for our families. We cannot allow innovation to stall due to bureaucracy or lack of support. This is why I've brought this motion back to full council. This is not just about modular housing. It's about leadership, urgency and making tangible differences to people's lives. I'm asking council to back this motion and agree the 3 points that is set out. Colleagues, this is our opportunity to turn talk into action, to take an idea that's stalled after one report and make it real. We must not leave stones unturned. Let's deliver home stability and homes for families who need it. The people of West Lothian deserve nothing less. Thank you, Provost.
Thanks, Angela. Damien, just before I bring you in, again, colleagues, conversations going on. So just keep it low, please, or go outside. Thank you. Damien, you have 3 minutes.
Thanks, Provost. I trust everyone in the room will back this. This is a solution to an issue that everyone in these chambers is faced with on a regular basis. I don't need to say that we've all been approached by those with issues for housing, and the temporary housing measures that we have in place are both impacting to the council financially, but more importantly, damaging to those who are either moved around or placed in unsuitable accommodation. Modular housing can work. It is not suitable on every occasion for every location, but modular housing can work and it does have its place. And this motion isn't being critical of our hard-working, overstretched housing team, quite the opposite. It's to ensure that us as councillors know that every avenue is being explored. As Councillor Ron Timson mentioned, every stone is turned to look at to make sure that something can be achieved in this. And it's also to ensure that we know as councillors what is being done or not done out there. Modular housing has its place. It does work. It's mentioned in the motion that the Scottish Government have put more funding, which is extremely welcomed, into the housing or affordable housing across Scotland. And I don't believe there isn't avenues for this council to explore to access some of that funding to build modular housing, to get properties suitable out across West Lothian, to get people out of temporary accommodation and get people into a home. This is for the people of West Lothian. Please support it all and let's not play games with this one. Thank you, Provost.
Thanks, Damon. Thank you. Colleagues, is there any amendments? Can you just press your buttons, please? Is there any amendments, colleagues? Councillor Paul. Councillor Paul, do you have a seconder?
Oh, sorry. It's
Councillor Maguire. Thank you. Councillor Paul, I'm just getting confirmed the competence. Leslie?
Thank you, Provost. I can confirm that the amendment has been checked for competence and lawfulness.
Thank you. Councillor Paul, you have 5 minutes.
okay. Thanks, Provost.
Oh, sorry, I need to, sorry. Would help if I passed on the amendment, wouldn't it? Val, can you confirm committee services have received this amendment?
Yes, I can confirm we're in receipt of that, Provost, and we will arrange to get that circulated to members.
Thank you. Sorry, can I ask if there is going to be any conversations, if they can be held outside, please? I understand the amendment has been circulated. I'll give members a couple of minutes to read. Thank you. Hold on just now. Under the new standing orders, this is why we had the 9:30 meetings in the morning for colleagues to, the chamber was going to be open, colleagues was to contact other members. If you just give me 2 seconds, I'm going to get this checked. On you go, Damien, sorry. If it is a point of order.
You tell me, Provost. The amendment actions are identical to the actions in the motion.
Right, I'm just going to have a look.
Maybe Labour have crossed a T in a slightly different angle, or maybe they've put an extra dot on an I that isn't needed. But this is identical. Right. This is definitely, when I promise not to play games, why is Councillor Paul playing games with this? Ridiculous.
Right, okay. Colleagues, I'm just aware that it's nearly lunchtime, okay? I'm going to have the 10 minutes for this to be dealt with between whoever wants to do a composite, and then we'll go straight into lunch and we'll be back here at 12:40. Councillor Damien, I had no idea. Yes. Identical. I've not had a look at it. I will have a look just now, so just give me 2 seconds. Sorry, Damien. Colleagues, I have taken advice from the governance manager and I have been advised it is possible to composite. There is some differences. That's the advice that I have. It is open to a composite. Once again, I'm going to have the 10 minutes for the composite to 12 o'clock. Then we're going to break straight into lunch. So colleagues, I'll see you back at 12:40. Thank you. Afternoon, colleagues. Thank you. Can I ask all members please to take your seats, put your ID passes into the console and press enter meeting. Colleagues, we left the meeting with the Councillor Paul. Councillor Paul indicated that he had an amendment and he was looking at composite. Councillor Paul, can you advise Council what's happened, please?
Chair, the proposer with it have agreed to the amendment to be compensated. Yeah.
Composite. So do you have a composite?
Yeah. Withdrawn, George. I have withdrawn. Angelo.
You don't have a right, sorry, I really need to know what's going on here or I'll just move on. Councillor Paul, do you have a composite or have your amendment been withdrawn?
I've withdrawn the amendment, Chair.
So, right, that's fine. So you've withdrawn the amendment. And Councillor Angela Dorn-Thompson, you've already moved your motion and it's been seconded. Okay. And Angela, you're... I know, sorry, right. Just to be absolutely clear, there is no composite and the Labour amendment has been withdrawn. Councillor Paul, can you confirm that is correct? Thank you. Do we have any further amendments? If there's no further amendments coming through, then the motion is carried. Thank you. Moving on, colleagues, to item 16, which is an early intervention to reduce rent arrears in West Lothian. And this is by Councillor Angela Doran-Timpson. Leslie, can you confirm this motion is competent?
Thank you, Provost. I can confirm that it has been checked for competence and lawfulness.
Thank you. Angela, do you have a seconder?
Provost. Damien
Doran-Timpson, thank you. Angela, you have 5 minutes to speak to your motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Provost. As every councillor in the chamber will be aware, rent arrears across West Lothian are rising, with a particularly notable increase in Broxburn, Uphall and Winchborough area. This is not simply a financial issue for the council, it's a human issue for our tenants, many of whom continue to face pressure from the cost of living crisis, rising house bills and wider economic uncertainty. When rent arrears begin to build up, the consequence can escalate quickly. For tenants, this can mean stress, anxiety and financial hardship, and in some cases, the risk of enforcement action. The council places additional strain on services and increases costs that might otherwise be avoided. It is important to recognise that rent arrears rarely arise suddenly. More often, they develop gradually following a change in circumstances, loss of income, illness, delay in benefit payment and family pressures. This is why early intervention is so important. There is a strong evidence that contacting tenants at an early stage in a supportive and constructive way improves engagement, support repayment, and significantly reduces likelihood of escalation into formal enforcement action. The motion is not intended as a criticism of our existing staff or procedures. It's definitely not. No one doubts the commitment or hard work of our council officers at West Lothian. West Lothian Council has already taken many positive actions, but rent arrears continue to rise. We therefore need to explore what further steps can be taken to reduce arrears for the benefit of both our residents and West Lothian Council. This motion therefore asks officers to bring a report forward that considers whether our current approach can be improved, and particularly through first ensuring tenants firmly receive timely communications when arrears begin to emerge, with messages that are clear, supportive and accessible. Second, considering whether the process for home visit could be improved, enabling earlier face-to-face engagement where appropriate. Third, exploring whether intervention letters could be more personalised, helping tenants better understand their situation and support them. Fourth, ensuring tenants are consistently directed to appropriate financial services and support to look at income maximisation advice, welfare rights services or assistance with payments plans at a very early stage. And finally, identifying opportunities to strengthen partnerships, working with advice agencies, welfare teams and other support agencies so tenants can access help before problems escalate. This approach is about preventing rather than enforcement. It is about supporting tenants to sustain their tenancies, protecting council homes and making best use of our resources. Early intervention is not only the compassionate approach, it is also the most effective and financial responsible one. I therefore ask colleagues to support this motion and allow officers to bring back a report to the relevant PDSP and council exec so we can consider how best to respond to this growing issue. Thank you.
Thanks, Angela. Damien, just before I bring you in, I should have actually checked our online colleagues can hear us, so I'm just going to do a quick check here online. Good afternoon to Councillors Miller, DeBold and Pearson. Councillor Miller, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Provost.
Thank you. Councillor Pearson, can you hear me?
Yes, that's loud and clear.
Thank you. And Councillor DeBold, can you hear us?
Yes, present, Provost.
Lovely, thank you. Okay, and just a slight reminder that any IT issues, contact a member of your group. Damien, if you'd like to second that motion, you have 3 minutes.
Provost, thank you very much. As Andrew said, moving this is no criticism of the council. And certainly the officers, a bit like in the previous motion we mentioned, work so hard in achieving what they can. But the fact is, a massive sum of money sits on rent arrears across the county. And as hard work as they do, we need to ensure that we're doing more, if necessary, to bring the rent arrears down. Because if we keep doing the same and it keeps going up, it's never going to improve, is it? So as well as what the officers are doing with regards to rent arrears at the moment, let's explore what other areas can be done. And the 5, I don't need to go through the 5 that I mentioned in the motion, they've already been spoken and everyone can read them in front of them. But what we need to ensure is that anything can be explored to make sure those who are on rent arrears are supported and to make sure that the council does not have that debt outstanding to them. Because moving forward, it's best both for our residents of West Lothian and certainly for the council if the rent arrears starts to decrease and decrease soon. I'm not sure if there's an area across West Lothian where the rent arrears have gone in the right direction for the council. So let's make sure everyone is doing all they can and make sure us as councillors in these chambers know what's being done out there, and we're satisfied that the council are doing everything that can be done to achieve the reduction in rent arrears. and that's been supporting those who are falling into debt to the council and ensuring that those who are, their debt is not increasing, but is rather stable and then is decreased. So I do hope that all councillors can support this, a little bit like the last motion that we've heard today. This is about doing the right thing for our residents, it's doing the right thing for our council, so please support the motion. Thank you.
Thanks, Damon. Thank you. Colleagues, do we have an amendment? Councillor Paul. Councillor Paul, do you have a seconder? Councillor Maguire, thank you. Leslie, can you confirm that Councillor Paul has submitted an amendment and it's competent?
Thank you, Provost. The amendment submitted by Councillor Paul has been checked for competency and lawfulness.
Thank you. Al, can you confirm if an amendment has been sent to committee services?
Yes, Provost, I can confirm we are in receipt of that amendment and we will happily circulate that to members now.
Okay. Councillor Orr, do you also have an amendment? Once I've dealt with this one, I will come back to yourself, Pauline. Okay, thank you. Val can ask for the amendment to be distributed. Thank you.
Provost, the council notes at the end of Q2, rent collection was at 93%. This is the reduction from the collection at the end of 24-25. Over 100% collection was achieved. However, it should be noted that the 24-25 was a 53-week year, whereas the 25-26 was a 52-week year. It should also be noted that these payments are made during the non-payment weeks in December are expected to increase the recovery rate in Q3, with a target of 96% to be achieved by the end of the year. A robust early intervention arrears recovery process is already in place, which involves an automated communication with tenants and phone calls and home visits. When officers make contact, they will discuss the reason for arrears, including any technical arrears, for example, delays in the review of reversal credit, options to manage the debt, including affordability and referrals. Where arrears are related to a universal credit or any other problems, cases are investigated before proceeding to the notice for the cases proceeding to court. Officers review these and will work with the DWP to resolve the issues. It appears that formal debt solutions might be appropriate, e.g. trust deed or sequestrations. Tenants are encouraged to contact or be referred to directly to the advice shop for specialist money advice. This can happen at point of any process. Oral letters include contact details in the advice shop for information where tenants can pay their rent. That the council agrees that council officers to present a report to the Housing Services PDSP, set out a robust early intervention process, which is already in place to provide further details in support of it offered to tenants who find themselves in the rent arrears. Amendments at Chair is amendment. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Maguire. Andrew, you have 3 minutes.
Thanks very much, Provost. As a housing officer, this is your bread and butter work, and I feel like my works came to the council with me today. Rent collection's obviously one of the most important facets of what the council does, and although there are many issues within the housing within West Lothian, I wouldn't say that rent collection was one of them. I think we've got very, very well established processes, and I think that that's evident in our last annual return on the charter to the Scottish Housing Regulator, where we had a figure of 100.6% rent collection versus the national average of 100.2%. So that would suggest to me that this is perhaps one area we're doing well. Undoubtedly, rent people that fall into debt does create problems not just for the council but for tenants themselves, but it's a hugely complicated situation, particularly with the changes to benefits that have happened in the past year. I'm thinking particularly of migration to universal credit, where for the first time many people who are on adult disability benefits or having to pay their rent or to manage their rent from benefits in the way that they've not been used to, which has created a pressure across the sector. That being said, I welcome in the amendment the fact that we'll have a presentation back to us or a paper back to us just to confirm the steps that we're taking, some of which are we're obliged to do by law as well. So I think that it would be helpful to clarify that situation, and I'm sure elected members at that point at the PDSP can have any further discussion that they might wish to about how we can improve that process. Thanks, Chair.
Thanks, Andrew. Thank you. Colleagues, any further amendments? Councillor Orr. Pauline, do you have a seconder?
I do have a seconder. It's Councillor Kenna.
Councillor Kenna, thank you. Leslie, can you confirm the amendment's been checked for competency?
Thank you, Provost. I can confirm that the amendment submitted by Councillor Orr has been checked for lawfulness and competence.
Thank you. Al, has the amendment been sent to yourself?
Yes, Provost, I can confirm we are in receipt of that amendment and we will happily circulate that to members now.
Thank you, lovely. Thank you.
Council is fully aware of the extent of rent arrears in West Lothian. Regular updates are presented to the local area committees and provide ward councillors with reports to evidence that arrears do track reasonably consistently against previous years. Some areas have better collection rates, but Council must be cognisant of the fact that some ward areas do include larger percentages of deprived or low-income areas, and any measures being considered and ultimately taken need to reflect that. It is time to investigate how better officers can reduce and recover those monies from whom often are the most vulnerable people in our society, and assist them to avoid escalation to the point of enforcement action. But Council must remain cognisant of the pressures and themes that result in our tenants falling into arrears with, and which are mainly focused on the most vulnerable groups in our communities. We must also recognise, however, that the Anti-Poverty Service and Housing already undertake a number of intervention measures to support tenants, but we need to ensure that these are relevant and timely. Early intervention is more successful than enforcement-led engagement, and our Anti-Poverty Service already undertake routine benefit checks at key trigger points. So how do we improve? Housing have confirmed that they start to engage with tenants if a debt reaches the amount of £75. That's not high at all, but for people in hardship it may as well be much, much more. Accepting you're in financial difficulty is not easy to do, and officers do engage immediately by SMS, followed by a number of letters, and make home visits as a positive means to engage and work out a recovery plan with tenants which is both affordable and sustainable. As my amendment states, this is proactive and it should be commended. Access to support should be normalised, and Council should revisit existing process with a view to enhancing what is already in place. If rents can be collected over an additional 4 weeks in the year, for example, instead of having 4 payment holidays, any debt that may accrue will be smaller and potentially easier to manage recovery of. New incurring debt as a result would be less. Another positive action is prompt referral to the Anti-Poverty Service to discuss the discretionary housing payment, which is available if your benefits do not cover all of your rent and could be a one-off or regular payment. That decision, however, lies with Council, and for how long. As the neighbourhoods we live in continue to struggle with financial pressures, Council need to be approachable and continually reviewing processes to ensure that measures we have in place are supportive. Please support the motion. Please support the amendment, sorry.
Thank you. Councillor Kenna, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Provost. I'll make it quite short because I think everything's been said in the amendment that's just been proposed. I'm very happy to second this amendment, and in particular commend to the Council the proactive recommendations. But it also has to be recognised by all in the Chamber the excellent hard work by housing staff and the anti-poverty service in being able to maintain the collection figures at a fairly high static level over the years. But there is always room for improvement, and this amendment goes some way to addressing this issue. Thank you. Please support the amendment.
Thank you. Colleagues, do you have any further amendments? If there's no further amendments, any colleagues wishing to speak? There's no colleagues wishing to speak. Councillor Doran-Timpson. Angela, you have 5 minutes to sum up.
Thank you, Provost. So I've listened to the both sides of the chamber, and I've got to support what the SNP are saying. So I am looking to find out if Pauline would be happy to do composite. Is that something that we can do, Provost?
I'm just going to take advice. It is something you could done, but again, it is something that we should have actually done this morning. Hold on. Colleagues, I will have adjournment until 1:15. Okay. Now, please note that the adjournment is not for running away. Please sort out the composite between Angela and Pauline. 1:15. Item 16. Councillor Doran-Timpson. Angela, you had intimated you were looking at a composite with Councillor Orr. Has this happened?
Yes, Provost. Also, I think we've agreed with Lawrence as well.
Okay. And you,
George? Yes, So it's,
right. So it's a composite between yourself, Councillor Paul, and Councillor Orr. Can you advise the chamber, please, council, please, the wording of the composite?
So all the bullet points. So on mine,
right. So we're taking the motion, and we're talking about the bullet points on the motion. Yeah.
Yes. Sorry, Provost. Yes. So the motion and all the bullet points.
Are we saying between 1 and 5? Just so I'm absolutely clear, Angela.
1 and 5. And then we're taking all the bullet points from the SNP amendment.
Just 2 seconds, please.
Also,
bear with us, just
okay. Sorry.
Okay. Item 16, all the bullet points in your own motion. The bullet points from Councillor Orr's amendment.
Yes.
Okay.
And then the bullet points from the Labour amendment. It will all come back to PDSP.
Basically, we're just taking 2 amendments in the motion, everything together.
Yes.
Is that basically what we're saying?
Yeah, sorry.
Right, just 2 seconds to check on that. Thank you.
What's so funny?
Pauline, is that? Yeah. I don't need to speak to this now.
I understand. And it's going to be unanimous.
So it's not unanimous. Census around chambers.
For basically what we've proposed.
So can I say no?
So do
I say, did I add to my speech?
That's all it is.
Yeah.
5% a month.
Colleagues, can I just advise that this is not compatible where the 2 motions are against each other? We have Angela saying number all the bullet points and all the bullet points in the SNP, but one of the bullet points in the SNP amendment is only for bullet points 1, 3 and 4, I think it is. And then there's more intervention work being done. Colleagues, it's not compatible. I'm going to pass on to the governance manager. Colleagues, I'm going to allow 5 more minutes to make something compatible, because what you've told me is all the bullet points from the motion, all the bullet points from the 2 amendments, which really doesn't work, because on Pauline's one, it's only saying bullet points 1. So 5 minutes.
May make it 5 seconds, not 5 minutes. I presume Council will take out that bullet point out of the SNP amendment. And if you take that out, the rest of it is compatible.
We can't presume anything. You're going to have to come back and have a look at it. So if you go and speak to each other and then come back to me. Angela, up next. Colleagues, we really need something that is coherent and not just a motion and 2 amendments together. What I can do is move on to next business and just let this get sorted out at a later time. Colleagues, okay. I understand we may have white smoke again. So, Councillor Angela Doran-Timpson, I'm going to ask you to read it back to me exactly what the motion is, the composite motion is. Then I need an agreement, who's the mover and who's seconding. It's already been spoken to, but just for governance purposes, this is what we need. So hopefully we do have something that resembles a motion now. Councillor Angela Doran-Timpson.
Okay, thanks for that, Cathy. So my motion, we will keep bullet point 1, 2. We will take out 3, replace it with bullet point 2 of the SNP amendment. We will then have bullet 4 and 5 from my motion. We will then have bullet 3, 4 and 5 from the SNP amendment, which will become 6, 7 and 8. And then we will have bullet point 9 of the Labour Group amendment, council officers to present to report to Housing PDSP. So it's what their bullet point was at the end.
Okay. Val, did you manage to catch that? I'm sure Leslie did.
Absolutely, I did, Provost. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Right. I just need one other question, about one other thing to ask. Angela, obviously it's on the motion, so I need a mover and a seconder just for governance issues.
So I'm moving,
okay,
and Pauline is seconding.
Okay. And I really have to ask this, is there any other position? Thank you. Okay. Colleagues, that takes us to item 17. It's a notice of motion for early intervention to reduce void properties and improve turnaround times, submitted by Angela Doran-Timpson. Angela, do you have a seconder?
I do, Provost Damien.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Leslie, can you confirm this has been passed to you for competency?
Thank you, Provost. I can confirm it has been checked for lawfulness and competence.
Thank you. Angela, you have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Provost. I want to speak to this motion not as a councillor but as someone who has seen firsthand the impact of long-term void properties in our community and residents. Over the years, visiting homes across Broxburn, Uphull and Minchborough, I've seen properties left empty for months on end, even years. Small maintenance issues that could have been fixed early, however, we've allowed it to worsen, and repairs are then quite major and needing done. I've spoken to tenants who wanted to maintain their homes but without support or regular inspection problems were unnoted. Before the pandemic, regular inspections every 6 to 12 months helped to prevent this. They kept properties in good condition, supported tenants and avoid costly repairs. But these inspections were paused during COVID, which is something that we all understand, and due to limited resources. and they have not been returned to previous levels. So, frequency of inspections, of works and struggles to keep our house and stock in the condition that our residents deserve. West Lothian Council has done what they can, but we cannot fight this problem alone. Lack of support from higher government has directly contributed to more void properties, longer turnaround times and increased costs for repairs. This is why this motion is so important. It's reintroducing regular inspection and strengthening early intervention. It isn't just about saving money, it's about protecting homes, supporting tenants, ensuring families waiting for homes aren't left waiting for years. I urge all colleagues to support this motion. It's a practical step we can take locally, even as we continue to call for funding and resources, and our communities deserve this. Now, colleagues, I just want to, put this plea out. This is not political in one sense or another. This is about supporting our residents in West Lothian. So I hope you'll all get behind this motion and support it. Thank you.
Thank you. Damien, you have 3 minutes.
Provost, I won't be taking 3 minutes for a couple of reasons. One, I think I've left my speech over with someone over in the SNP group, so if someone could read that out for me, that would be handy. And secondly, I'm guessing murmurings that there may be amendments done with this across the chambers, which I certainly hope that can be done. It's similar to previous. This is about doing all we can for the council.
Sorry, Damien, I'm just going to come in. What I did say was that if anybody thought there was going to be a composite for this, it was to be done. We're not having any more breaks for competencies for composites. Obviously, members do have 2 weeks sight of a motion, and if anybody thinks there is anything in that motion that they can be agreed on, and also they should have been here at 9:30 in the morning and contacting members. They also got an email from Leslie. I think today we've been very, very lenient on this. So what I did say was, if anybody had anything for the next one, deal with it during our breaks.
Okay, probably. Yeah, thank you. Well, I have a couple of points I'll pick up on that. First of all, the governance manager will be able to answer the question. Is that within standing orders that you can not allow people to composite during the meeting? That's point number one. Point number two, these motions were moved by Councillor Andrew Doran-Timpson. How are we to know that people, other groups may want to composite? We can't approach them, it's for them to approach us, and no one's approached us, including your party, Provost. So maybe you need to get a grip of your party first before you lecture us on compositing during the meeting. As I was saying, this is about doing the right thing for the council and for the residents. All councillors here have been approached many
Councillor Cohen, sorry, Councillors Damon Doran-Timpson. Councillor Cohen, point of order.
Yes, Provost. At my last intervention as a point of order, I did ask you regarding the last two motions, this motion and the last one, that if we're going to adjourn, it should be done simultaneously. You ruled on that. So the fact that your ruling is being challenged, I think that should be withdrawn.
It's fine. It's okay. We're dealing with it. Councillor Damon Doran-Timpson.
Thank you for that non-point of order, Councillor Con.
Councillor Damon Doran-Timpson, the clock's ticking. Carry on, please.
Please tell Councillor Con to shush then.
So can you take that back, please?
Beg your pardon?
I have to be respectful to each other, as I've already said.
Both ways. So this is, we've all been approached by members of the public out there who know a property is empty, has been for so long, and are wondering why it's not available. Sometimes it's not even a council property, which we know. Sometimes it has major issues with it, and sometimes, unfortunately, the team haven't quite got round to doing it with the amount of work that's needed. One of the issues we have with void properties is that council do not know the condition of enough of their properties enough of the time, and the early intervention that we have in here would certainly be able to achieve that. If the council are aware of the condition of the property, they will be able to get involved earlier and ensure that the lengthy work that's needed will not be so long. Again, no criticism of the council officers and for the workers who are doing the work out there. We know how stretched they are and how hard they are working.
30 seconds, Councillor Timson.
As we have heard today, just because we're doing something at the moment doesn't mean that's all that can be done in the future. So I do hope that everyone can get behind this. I do hope that we can look at ensuring that we know what's getting done out there as councillors, and we know that the void properties are coming down. Some of the inventions that we've brought out the last year or two have resulted in void properties coming down, but not enough. So let's work together. Let's ensure the void properties are not void for too long, and let's ensure that we have more properties available for our residents of West Lothian.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any other amendments? Councillor Orr. Councillor Orr, do you have a seconder?
I do have. It's Robert de Bold.
Thank you. Can you confirm, Leslie, that you have seen sight of the amendment and it's competent?
Thank you, Provost. The amendment has been checked for competence and lawfulness.
Thank you. Colleagues, is there an issue going on here? Am I right? Because I'm still hearing discussions going on. Thank you. Councillor Paul, you have your light on. Is there a point of order? Right, I'm dealing with an amendment at the moment, okay? Councillor Orr, Councillor de Bold has been checked. Val, can you confirm it's been sent to committee services?
Yes, I can confirm. Provost, we are on receipt of that amendment and we will get that circulated now.
That's lovely, thank you.
Voids, as we know, are an ongoing issue for West Lothian Council. Not only do empty properties affect the income stream from housing stock, but the time involved to conduct repairs can be unnecessarily long because of the extent of the damage. It's also costly, around £250,000 each financial year, I'm led to believe. That needs to be rectified, and whilst I would like to commend the introduction of the Central Voids team and the work that they are currently doing, there is scope for more to be done, and it needs to be done at pace if it can be. I've seen for myself the damage the properties are left in. It's horrific, and Council needs to strengthen the measures currently being taken to attempt to alleviate the severity of the deliberate damage. Tenants need to realise that they also do have a responsibility for maintaining the fabric of their home as well as Council. The cost of deliberate and malicious damage should be recoverable from the tenant, and whilst that option is currently available, Council should now be looking to enforce recovery of repairs plus any legal costs. That is why the SNP group today are looking for the original motion, which we commend, to go further. Council do organise, however, that tenants include vulnerable families who may need additional support to look after their home. Let us put that more firmly into the framework, and we can do that by reintroducing regular inspections. We are a landlord just like any other. Tackling this head-on will enable a quicker turnaround of empty property and help to reduce our housing waiting lists. In turn, additional rental income will be receipted by Council and broaden the reach of the investment we do in our stock by being able to bring forward capital works which are being delayed by the cost of the repairs. Please support the amendment.
Thanks, Pauline. Thank you. Councillor de Bold, Robert, you have 3 minutes.
Yes, as noted, we are supportive of the objectives of the motion in dealing with voids. There are frequent delays in reletting, and this can bring the council into disrepute. Great work is currently being done by council staff and the Central Voids team, and this needs to be noted. In our amendment, we advocate for an initial 3-month check and the recharge process for malicious damage. We also believe it to be appropriate to conduct a review to ascertain if third-party contractors would speed things up. Our additional measure of reviewing the tenant's handbook to emphasise the consequences of malicious damage could also benefit the voids process. I therefore second.
Thank you. Colleagues, do we have any further amendments? Councillor Paul. Councillor Paul, do you have a seconder? Councillor Andrew. Has your amendment been checked by legal? Leslie?
Thank you, Provost. I can confirm that the amendment submitted by Councillor Paul has been checked for lawfulness and competence.
Thank you. Councillor Paul, can you confirm that your amendment has been sent to committee services?
Yes.
Thank you. Al, has it been sent?
Yes, thank you, Provost. We're in receipt of that amendment and we can get that circulated now.
Thank you. Colleagues, if there's to be any discussions, can we take them outside right at the start when we do our opening preamble? We advise members not to block alleyways and get up and speak to people. We advise them to take conversations outside. This is something that's been happening for a number of years and we're going to start banging down on it. Okay, Val, can you send the motions to the amendment to members? Thank you.
The Council notes that the West Lothian Council has approximately 14,000 council houses. There are 33 housing officers and 15 estate officers. Tenancy visits are already prioritised to focus on early intervention for customers who have been assessed as vulnerable due to personal circumstances such as mental health, financial pressures, or tenancy issues, such as rent arrears and tenancy conditions. These tenants may receive a visit more frequently and every 6 months. All other tenants are scheduled for a personal visit every 24 months. However, some tenants disengage from contact with the housing officers. The Council has no statutory power or contractual authority to enforce entry to the tenants' homes unless there is a compliance concern. Regular gas safety and electrical compliance checks also take place as council tenancies, and there is a programme of property conditions. All staff who carry out these checks for inspections have been trained to review the condition of the tenancies to identify any concerns regarding the property condition. To allow the housing team to schedule a visit to the tenant, Council notes that housing services are refreshing the tenant's circumstances, which will follow the tenant's responsibility for their tenancy and to reinforce the message that they will be charged for every repair that is required, which is not a result of fair wear and tear. This, along with the planned programme of engagement, is expected to be the most effective means of targeting the reduction of poor property conditions and the resulting repair costs. Self-service opportunities will also be enhanced along with the use of technology to support the triaging and using customer profiling to target resources. Council also notes that the presentation and voice and letting performance is delivered to the Housing PDSP on a 6-monthly basis, and the last presentation was delivered on 18th of December 2025. The Council agrees that the current programme prioritise visits to the vulnerable customers, along with the refreshed tenancy communications and the most effective means of targeting reduction in poor property condition and the resulting of repair costs. Future voice presentation to the PDSP will include an update on the categorisation and the condition of the properties which have returned to the Council. Officers will report to the Housing PDSP on the fresh tenancy communications. Please support the amendment. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Maguire, you have 3 minutes.
Thanks very much, Provost, and thanks to colleagues for the debate on this today. I think it's vitally important. I know that my mailbox is full. In fact, whilst we've been having this debate, someone's emailed me to complain about some empty properties in their street, and I think there's very little that's more frustrating for the residents of West Lothian than empty properties in their street, empty council properties in their street, all the while they have family members or friends that can't access council properties. I think there's much to be commended in all three motions that have been placed before us, and I think, again, it's a shame that we couldn't compensate them because I think they're all very close together. I think the key in all of this is two things, though. I think the first key thing is that we have no statutory duty to enter into people's houses. We have to have engagement and we have to build relationships with people to be able to get in there, and also that we're never, unfortunately, going to be able to stamp out the poor condition that we're going to have some properties returned in. The difficulty the council has is that it wears two hats. It's both the guardian or the last resort of housing with its statutory duty on homelessness, and also a landlord, as council or highlighted, and those two things can sometimes be in conflict with each other and can create problems that we're never going to get away from. That being said, I think what we're suggesting here and the programme that's already underway by officers to improve void times and to give us a clearer understanding of the condition that voids are returned back in has been helpful for members of the PDSP, and I welcome what's proposed here in the amendment to bring forward further information on that, and hope that we can further reduce the void times and get properties back let as quickly as possible.
Thanks, Andrew. Thank you. Is there any further amendments? There's no further amendments, then I will open it up for debate. Is there any colleagues wish to speak? There's no one. Yep, Councillor Fitzpatrick.
Yes, Provost, thank you. And I accept your ruling that there can be no cross-conferral. We have to abide by standing orders. Having conferred with my deputy and my portfolio holder, we are minded to support the SNP amendment. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other contributions? No. Councillor Angela Doran-Thompson, if you would like to sum up, please.
Okay, so in short, we are seeking homes left empty for months, even years, because early intervention. I'm Provost. This is not about properties, it's about people, tenants who need support, families waiting for homes, and communities losing vital housing. This motion is not intended as a criticism to existing staff or procedures. No one doubts the commitment of hard work that the officers at West Lothian Council are already taking, and many positive actions, but void properties continue to rise. That is very clear. We therefore need to ensure what further steps can be taken. I recognise all the work that's been done by West Lothian Council. By introducing regular inspections and strengthening early intervention, we can catch problems early, reduce void periods, protect our housing stock and support residents, while also calling on government to provide the funding that councils need to make this possible.
Sorry, Angela, just 2 seconds. Colleagues, can we just give respect to the colleague that is speaking? Thanks, Angela.
Thank you. So just like to say this, I am going to be supporting the SNP amendment because I do like that. And obviously we can't do anything to compensate with the ruling that Provost has made. However, I would like to say shame on Labour. Instead of supporting this motion, you choose to water it down and claim it as your own. And then you decide, oh, well, we'll just support SNP. The reality is, same old story. If Labour didn't think of it first, then they won't back it. There's no proactive measures from this West Lothian Labour group. Thanks, Provost.
Thank you. Colleagues, I have to say, regardless of what Councillor Fitzpatrick and Councillor Doran-Thompson have said, how they're voting, understanding orders, I have 2 amendments and 1 motion here. We will be going straight to the vote. It will be motion against amendment, and then the winner of that amendment will be that against the motion. I'm now going to pass to Councillor Fitzpatrick. The amendment wasn't withdrawn, so I have 2 amendments and a motion, and I'm going straight to the vote. Leslie, please accept the vote. Colleagues, it's pretty simple. There was two amendments and 1 motion. No one has withdrawn their amendment or motion, so we're going straight to the vote. Thank you, Leslie.
Thank you, Provost. There are 33 votes to be cast. The vote will be taken electronically. as there are 2 amendments lodged and they have not been withdrawn, the vote will take place in 2 stages. At the first stage, the motion will be put against the First Amendment and a vote will be taken. The surviving position will then be put against the Second Amendment and a vote will then be taken. The winner of that will be the decision of the meeting. At the first stage, there will be the motion by Councillor Doran Timpson. That will be your yes button, and the First Amendment by Councillor Orr. That will be your no button. There will be a third button there for abstain. Please cast your vote. Thank you, Provost. There are 5 votes for the motion, 20 votes for the First Amendment, and 5 votes for abstain. The First Amendment survives. 8 abstain. Right, 8 abstain. Apologies, 8 abstain. First Amendment survives. At the second stage of the vote, there will be the First Amendment by Councillor Orr. That is your yes button. We will have the Second Amendment by Councillor Paul. That will be your no button, and there is a third button there for abstain. Please cast. Apologies. At the second stage of the vote, we will have the First Amendment by Councillor Orr. That will be your yes button. We will have the Second Amendment by Councillor Paul. That will be your no button, and a third button there for abstain. Please cast your vote. Thank you, Provost. All votes have now been cast. There is 27 votes for the First Amendment and 6 votes for abstain. First Amendment is carried.
Thanks, Leslie. Thank you. That takes us to item 18, documents for execution. Val.
Thank you, Provost. There were 6 in total.
Thank you. Colleagues, thanks for your attendance today and for your participation.